All right, so it's recording. All right, so everybody, welcome back once again to another episode of QuattroQuattroDos. And today we're doing something kind of different. We're doing as you guys know, QuattroQuattroDos is brought to you by DynamoTheory.com. You know, a lot of people, if you want to follow Dynamo, the Dash, and sometimes RGB stuff also on there, you can follow DynamoTheory.com. And today I'm actually talking to one of the guys that he's actually one of the new members to Dynamo Theory. So, we decided to kind of get together and chat, since we have like I guess you can say one passion that unites us, and that is Sin Bandera. If you don't know, no, I'm just kidding. It's a band between in Argentina and Mexican, but we're not going to talk about music today. Well, maybe, I don't know. But we're going to talk about the Houston Dynamo. We're going to talk about soccer. We're going to talk about our lives and stuff like that. So without further ado, if you guys welcome, I don't know, nobody's watching, right now, but welcome Rudy Segura. He's going to be here talking to me today. We're going to just chat away. This is actually the first time we meet too. So, it's kind of strange. It's kind of weird, because we're also getting to know each other as co-workers, teammates for Dynamo Theory. And, you guys get to enjoy the fun chat. So what's up, Rudy? How you doing, bro?
Hey, how's it going, Cristian? Thanks for having me.
For sure, man. So let's get let's get right into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get into you have mentioned that, basically a lot of people that live in Houston, most of us are from somewhere else. And, I'm from Argentina. I don't know yet where you're from. I assume you're Mexican, but I might be wrong. But tell me a little bit about your background, and then how you ended up in Houston, and how you ended up being a Dynamo fan.
Yeah, so you hit it on the dot. I'm definitely from Mexico. I was actually born in Mexico City, so came from a big city. My dad's whole family's from down there, and my mom is kind of from like central Mexico. But anyways, I was there till maybe I was 6 years old. I don't remember much of it, of Mexico City. But my dad, growing up, you see pictures of when you were little, and like I would get dressed as like Pumas. So like a lot of people know Pumas, or Atlante was another team that was down there around that time. They recently kind of moved to a different place. But so it was just funny because growing up, those were the teams that kind of my dad liked. But out of nowhere, once I had memory of it, it was big Chivas fans, basically. And so whenever I was 6 years old, we moved to like northern Mexico, which actually a border town. Some of the listeners may know that it's Reynosa, which is like a border town to McAllen, Texas. So like near RGB and all that stuff. And was there till I was 8 or 9, and then somehow landed in Houston and pretty much been here all my life after that. It's been kind of weird, I would say, being a Chivas fan, because I never really knew why my dad became a Chivas fan. But, like growing up as a kid, depending where you're from, it makes sense if you're like from a certain city and that team is there. I'm just glad that he didn't make me like an America fan, because, especially now growing up, like that Chivas America thing, which I know you definitely know about rivalries yourself. But it's funny because I remember, obviously grew up playing soccer all my life. My brother, I have a younger brother that he was able to play for, actually, he was in like the Chivas, I guess it was Chivas Academy, and it eventually kind of turned into Chivas USA, if you remember that team that existed from LA.
Yeah.
And then it just dissolved. They used to be actually like, they used to play like in, towards your, I guess, neck of the woods, but like Briar Forest. So like Bellway, yeah. And
funny. Let me cut you off there for a second. So funny story. I actually went to the middle school where Chivas trained. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's funny that you say that, because I was at that age. I was like 16, 17. when our friend kind of told us about the academy. And so I was too old for it. But my brother got to play pretty much like 5 years or so. I mean, they wanted to take him to LA. My mom didn't let him go to LA. So he was like a little bummed out, kind of like that. Oh man, that was my dream type of thing. But no, yeah, I know what you're talking about, the school there, because I would take him every now and then, or I'd just go with him and my mom to like kind of keep him, some companion, because it was a long drive. We lived in Maryland, so it was a long road trip. But yeah, so like my brother was playing. He played in college as well, and around the same time that I was, I guess, feel old, but graduating high school is when around the time that the Dynamo became the Dynamo. Like I graduated high school like in 2007, so the Dynamo got here like in technically 06 was their first season. So I remember people always kind of like there's a few guys that I think were actually members of El Batallón that I knew, and they were always kind of talking about it, but that was out of my realm, even though it was here local, it just didn't really click much. Never, I guess maybe too naive to keeping up to like what was happening. I didn't know much about MLS per se at the time. But what was funny is that we would go, like we were people that like we went, if it was like Chivas would come for like, off-season training, and they'll do some kind of like friendly matches, or Mexico came to play. Like we were always there. Like we had to be there. Like, that's kind of like the bonding time that me and my brother and my dad had. So in Mexico, I never went to a stadium, to watch a game. So it wasn't until like once we had the Dynamo, we're like, hey, cool, the Dynamo play Chivas, let's go check them out. But we always rooted for Chivas or for the other team. And then eventually we're like, okay, the Dynamo are pretty good. They just won a championship. And then, hey, Rafa Marquez is playing for New York. You want to go check out Rafa Marquez or Thierry Henry or Cuauhtemoc Blanco, or, I never actually went to go see. I wanted to see like London Donovan or David Beckham, and for whatever reason it didn't happen. But I was always going to watch the other team for the most part, kind of rooting that the Dynamo would win, but at the same time, I'm like, I just want to check out that player, like, and did you ask me about writing articles? It wasn't until maybe like 2016 when they kind of picked up, and then they went to playoffs in 2017. I had a friend that he's a big like Houston sports fanatic, and was like, hey, let's write some articles about Texans, Astros, Rockets. And I was like, what about the Dynamo? And so, yeah, and they were doing good. So it's like, he's like, oh yeah, I forgot you like really like soccer. You want to do it? And so from around that time, I just kind of like just became a big fan, because, once you go to like a playoff game, I was able to go to that 2017, I guess they played Seattle, and usually my brother or my dad's birthday are usually during the season. I would always like buy tickets for those games. And but we went to that Seattle game, and I mean we were played terrible. It was very disappointing. We got a red car, and it was, but just the atmosphere was like, whoa, like, okay, I've been to a bunch of Dynamo games. I've been to a bunch of, packed stadiums. I've been to NRG, like, fully packed when, like, All-Stars played, like, Man U, like, back in the day and stuff, to see Chicharito barely making his debut there. But it was just, it felt different. It was like, so, I mean, you've been to BBA, it's a small stadium, but when it's packed, it's rocking, like, you get that cool vibe. And I was just hooked. And so, in 2018, someone from Dynamo called us, and they're like, hey, you guys want to come do a tour? Maybe look at season tickets. And my wife is like, yeah, we'll be there. And I told her, when we get out of there, we're going to have season tickets, right? Like, I'm just letting you know, like, I literally just went to a game, we may have gotten destroyed, but it was fun. Like I loved it. And so since then, I've been pretty much just keeping on with it. Again, I was a big Chivas fan, and like they say, like you can kind of grow out of love. And I think it's just when you don't have that full connection of like going to stadium or having that vibe, it's a little hard, like as much as you want to care for that team, it's just not the same. And as I grew up, I was a big follower of like Man U, and Barcelona. So like I always kind of kept, but it was the same thing. Like you watch like Champions League or something like that, but it's not the same. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm always following the Dynamo now. So it's like might as well kind of do something about it. I'm always the guy wearing like the hat everywhere or like a shirt everywhere. And you know how you say like you see somebody that wears it and you throw the H7, like, dude, that's me. Like I'm always like trying to and doing the urban ministry, and having season tickets, easy to take people and just kind of talk about building relationships and stuff like that. So
you evangelized to the Dynamo.
Yeah, just take advantage of it. And so we went 2018, 2019. I think maybe like in 2 seasons I missed 1 game, and then and that's just because I had to be out of town. But 2020, I was so excited, like packed stadium for LA Galaxy, and I tend to be on the tunnels. Like I take advantage of a lot of that stuff. So I've gotten to see like Rooney. When you're as old as me, those guys were like legends as a kid. So you're like, you high five Rooney, you high five like David Villa, like biggest David Villa fan. You get to see so many people and you're like, man, they're right here in Houston. Like some people kind of miss it. And I think one of the reasons I told you, like, it would be cool to talk about, the way that we become fans of like a team that we're not from Houston, so how you become like, not necessarily a diehard, because I don't think there's many like diehard fans like there would be for like Boca or River or like Madrid or Barcelona, like those guys, like teams that have so much history, but one thing I love listening to Glenn Davis's shows and podcasts, like listen to all the time. And especially when he has like, top Ramos or like head coaches or the presidents and the GMs. And, I heard John Walker mention like, that's pretty much impossible. Like you can't, it's very difficult to get like diehard fans of like EPL or this or that to become fans of the Dynamo. And I was like, well, I was one of those guys, like I was kind of like the MLS was not my thing, even being, so close to a team for, whatever, 15 years now. But I think there is a way, like there has to be a way to like be a fan of both. I think I would say my brother, I'm starting to kind of push him because he was never like, he actually got to play against the Dynamo, like in a scrimmage, when he was in college. He played for San Jacinto College, which they used to have like a really good soccer program, but they ended it like a couple of years ago, which is kind of sad when there's not that many here. But yeah, I remember like him. I know like you may not know like a bunch of historic players, but I think Brian Ching was still there. I'm pretty sure Brad Davis was there. For sure, Bobby Boswell, because I love that guy, and he was just such like arrogant dude that is just like, I mean, to this day I remember like somebody did like I wouldn't say a nasty tackle like from my brother's team against someone, and I mean obviously like they bring the hospital in and everything, and then the guy's just like, you think we want to play against you guys? You think we want to play against you guys? Like the way he was just saying it, he was just like so like arrogant, you know what I mean? Like it's like, I mean, the kids are 18-year-olds trying to play, professional. So they're playing hard against these guys, like that's always how it goes. So, I'm a very emotional, like I'm very competitive, and I do like myself miss playing. I don't have the time to do it anymore. But at least having that, kind of feeling connected to a team and to people that is like, you're right, man. I mean, you don't really see that many Dynamo fans but I will say that I saw more Dynamo fans living inside the loop than I saw outside of it for sure. But I mean, I know plenty of people that live like way farther than me and still go to Dynamo games. And you're like, I mean, being from Katy, I'm sure it's not a short drive.
Not at all. It's a good 30. It's a good 30 on a good day.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, so it's one of those that, I mean, why not? And my brother, he just moved. He was never like a big fan of the Dynamo as well, or basically on any MLS. Which I do have a funny story. And going back to Robertson, he obviously, like, I mean, who doesn't like Terry Henry, right? So we went and got tickets for the New York Red Bulls that were playing because we really wanted to watch Rafa Marquez. You're Mexican, that was your idol, especially when he was at his prime.
Yeah.
And clearly he was hurt like he always was in the MLS. So we didn't get to see him. But Henry was playing, and it was in the Robertson. I remember that my brother like found a Red Bulls jersey, and he just wore it. And so we're walking in Robertson, and I guess we didn't really notice because it was packed. I mean, who doesn't want to see a guy like that, right? So we're just going, and we just start hearing like all kinds of like whistling and just people shouting and stuff. And again, didn't think much of it. Oh, sure enough, we were like right under like El Batallón in Texas Army. My brother is the only guy wearing like a New York Red Bulls shirt, And like me, I think it was like me, my dad, and somebody else probably, but we were all wearing orange, but he was the only one sticking out. Man, this started just like throwing stuff at him. Like, but I mean, it wasn't like seriously bad. It was more just kind of like heckling, but it's just kind of funny. So that's why I always would tell people, like, I'm a Dynamo fan, but I tend to go watch the other team play because they should have like a team, like a player that I want to watch,
Yeah, of course. I mean, and lately the Dynamo hasn't produced much to go watch, So how many games or how many times did you go to Robertson Stadium?
So Robertson for the Dynamo, like to play like during the season, not that many. Usually I would go when there was friendlies. But I do remember going to watch, we went and watched Cuauhtémoc Blanco play. So when he was with Fire, so Dynamo Fire, I remember going Dynamo, like Chivas USA, because my brother was in that club. So we would go check it out and stuff like that. So we went a few times, and then there was a few Dynamo versus Chivas games and stuff like that. So I would say for maybe 10 times. Something like that.
Yeah, good.
I mean, we honestly would try to go like at least twice a season, more or less. Kind of make it like a family outing or something like that. Yeah. So I did get to like see, when they were, I guess, very good. I mean, we got lucky by the team that came. I mean, these guys were just like hardworking. Very like there wasn't one guy that was like very talented. It was like all of them worked really hard.
It was a team.
That's kind of like what you want in a team. It's like, hey, you got to be scrappy, man. You got to get those 50-50s that are going to kind of become dirty, but they're not dirty. Like you just kind of have to go. And so it was definitely fun watching them play. And my brother got lucky too, because I think it was I had just graduated high school, and Brad Davis went to like my brother's high school with the trophies in hand, and you're like, it was funny because like again, not a lot of people knew the Dynamo. This is like 3 years of the Dynamo, and people taking pictures with the trophies, and like Brad Davis is like right there, no one like is interacting with him, and now I'm like I want autographs, hey, like, dude, like I'm looking for Brian Ching, like, man, like how did I get an autograph,
It's like, bro, it's Brad Davis. God damn, turn around. Yeah, it's crazy though, because like nowadays, like for example, like that's I think that's one of the things that like it would help the people get connected to the team if like the players did stuff like that. Like, kind of go out and I don't know, go to schools, or because, whenever John Walker and talks about, like transforming fans, or like, and they say it's really hard. And I mean, we're proof that, it can be hard, but it can be done, and like me, myself, for example, like I, like kind of like in your case, I've taken my brothers, I've taken my parents, and it's just kind of like transforming them, kind of little by little, but also like their involvement in like the community would like help so much blow up, and also having a good team, because of course that would help a lot, but what do you think going into this season, kind of changing gears a little bit, how do you, I mean, I think we don't really have to talk about, the last few seasons, because it has been, crap. But how do you have some hope or anything, looking forward to what they have done in this offseason, with Tab Ramos, I think changing the whole way. Let me ask you this. Let me just go back and ask you this. How did you see the team play under Tab Ramos, in a soccer way? Because a lot of people, like, for example, I was lucky enough that, with Dynamo Theory, I was able to actually go to all the home games, even with the pandemic. So I was able to see like the team like live first, right there, right? And I saw like a whole completely different team than what I had seen like the previous year with Wilmer Cabrera, not Cabrera. Um, but Tab Ramos kind of like changed, gave him like an idea of play. They moved the ball around, possession. Like a lot of the games, and most of the games, the Dynamo ended like winning the possession of the ball and stuff like that. And I saw like the kind of change of the game, and obviously he didn't have the players that he wanted. He just kind of showed up, and they were like, "Hey, here's some players. Play with these guys." And now, he made moves. He got this guy, he got that guy. He traded this guy, and brought this guy in. So, in your personal opinion, as a fan, I guess, how do you see it? How do you see the new Dynamo? The old Dynamo, and the new style of play with Tab, and like going forward. How do you see it?
Yeah, so I mean, I think you hit it on the dot. I mean, we saw like a huge improvement for sure. I think just I guess taking it like tournament by tournament, I guess like the MLS, MLS's back tournament, we saw the team like, I mean, they were just playing, everybody toe to toe, but it was like the same old Dynamo, right? Like we were getting scored on the last minute, or we were just, choking. Like it's like, dude, you're up 3-1. How are you gonna score? So we saw a little bit. So it was kind of hard to see. And I think you're absolutely right. Like we had very good players, right? Like so we had Elise and Manotas on fire. The last couple years. Obviously, Kyoto was very good. Good player. Not the best, teammate or human being, whatever you want to see it as. And it showed, right? Because I think the guys where they knew it was their team. Like you said, like that with Cabrera, he had his style of playing, and which made these guys the superstars that they were. Just kind of like terrorizing the defense. So whenever Top came in, I think those guys, were meant to like they still fit in in his team for the most part, right? Like Manotas and Elise, like I mean, Top is very attacking minded, so these guys are going to be attacking. But that didn't really make them like defend much, And so the way that Tab is trying to play, from what I can see, it's a 4-3-3 that, basically everybody attacks at once and everybody defends at once. And so when you had Elise and Manotas just kind of like, linger up there and not really trace back, it just made, obviously like now that like Kiki's not there, which I never thought Kiki was a bad player. It was just, it wasn't the system for him. He wasn't athletic enough to just kind of take down, completely destroy like an attack when both of your right back and your left back are so up high. And again, I'm a bit like listen to a bunch of the podcasts, like English, Spanish, doesn't matter. So I like listening to like Les as well, and do his podcast. And when he talks to the players, and one that kind of stood out to me was, it was when he talked to Jose Visama. And he was kind of mentioning, like, you can tell he was frustrated, because it was like the Todd is telling me to go up, try to support as much as I can. He's wide, and I mean, you go back, you watch a bunch of games. I mean, the dude is wide open, like he's making that run around at least or something, and they're just not giving him the ball. Yeah. So I mean, if you play soccer, if you just run, like if you go up there, you just ran like from box to box, and nobody gave you a ball, and then you have to come back and defend. I mean, it can get, and it happens regularly, like it can get tiring, and I feel that happened a lot. And again, it was, obviously we know at least was a superstar, like for us. I'm between him and Manotas, they were the team, like we, without them, I mean, you saw it, like as soon as he left, we struggled because there was kind of no identity at that point, and so now with the players that now it's his team, right? I feel like there's no excuses, COVID is COVID, like, Columbus Crew played in COVID too, and they won it. I mean, really? I get it, like they're spending a little bit more money than we are and stuff, but looking at this offseason, I think the moves that needed to be done were done. A little surprised on like how many wingers we have, which is, I mean, competition is great, but you just don't see, like, I think Ramirez is like the only solid, like, 9. And but I don't know if he fits into his like Tap's plan of playing, like I feel same thing like Mati Vera, he's such a beast, but like it seems that Tap wants kind of like a big number 6, because like if you remember last season when he got Sahibo, I mean Sahibo was
big dude.
It's supposed to be like his backup, like Vera's backup. So, and obviously we just picked up Derek Jones, kind of the same physical attributes as like, what exactly is he doing? And I kind of feel that, and I think I mentioned it to someone on Twitter, that it looks like his playing style, it was like old Barcelona style, like you have like Dani Alves on the side, you have Alva on the side, and then you're going up and down, but you always have like your, number 6 being, I guess, Sergio Busquets is kind of breaking down. So, where some players are going to play is kind of hard to tell. But I'm definitely excited just because, how I see it. Obviously, Matic is your starter right now. I mean, and I think he's very solid. Yeah. I think the guy he has good hands, good vision. I mean, again, there's some goals that are going to go through that, you're like, man, what happened?
He's still young too. That's what people forget. Like he is like it was his first year
25.
in a good league.
Yeah. And I think they were saying that he was like, I think he was the youngest or the second youngest guy starting in the league. You know what I mean? But yeah, no. I mean, the dude it's solid. I like him. And you can tell that he's an old 24-year-old, the guy looks like he's 35, like physically and like mentally. I mean, the guy, you can tell he's a leader. So I think we're starting to pick up a lot of guys that are like kind of remind you of those, we're not the greatest, but we're not the worst, and we're going to hear like kind of like work. And so the work ethic, it's, that's what you need. I mean, we're not going to, as much as we want to get like a Messi or Ronaldo or even something a little under that, there's no way it's going to happen. And I think as fans, we want that because, we feel that, hey, I enjoy the Dynamo even when they're like doing kind of terrible. They don't have like the best players. But if we bring someone else, more people will come. And you just kind of want to see more people at the games. But, how I see it is Todd is doing a good job. But I feel like as year 2, usually, and year 2 in the MLS, like coaches kind of start doing much better. But I feel like there's no excuses. COVID happened, it's done. But now, like you said, you came last year and we were all kind of like, man, we got Darwin and Quintero, and like people weren't excited. And I was like, man, the guy's actually pretty solid. Like, he proved it. I mean, the guy had like 7 goals and 10 assists. I mean, he's still a baller, like, and so there's very few little pieces added to like to that team last year. but it's a big overhaul this season in the sense of like starting positions and stuff.
Yeah.
So I still think like Bisama, you know, I mean, this guy is going to have to be your starter. You know, you spend a good amount of money on him. He's an international. Like, you have to keep giving him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, you can't blame the guy that broke his foot, like, you know, the week before the season started. So it's like people are just like, oh, he's terrible. It's like, no. Like, just watch him play. You know, watch some of the guys play. Like, you know, I feel like Bissam is going to be there for sure. Parker, I mean, the dude is a rock back there. And then, you know, the left, it's a little tricky. I think like Minor Figueroa, maybe since, you know, we may end up signing him. I guess once it's a done deal, I think I'm one of those guys. He's a little too old to be playing, but the guy is still like super athletic, you know, very like skillful. He's a very good player. So if Mayor or you know, whoever's back there, they can take his spot is for a reason. You know, like kind of like how Adam said behind Beasley for a while. I mean, the old guys can still play sometimes. No,
sure.
Yeah. And so, but looking at the team, I'm excited. Like I think we have like players in the midfield that are going to be way more comfortable with the ball at their feet. I mean, I see obviously Adam is going to still be on the left. I mean, at this rate, you're going to have Matibera, you're going to have Corona, and I'm thinking. Like obviously everything can change, but I think that Mamo has to be somewhere in the middle. I know that you know, they're saying, well, playing at number 10, but every time I hear Tab Ramos talk about a 10, he just doesn't like a 10. Like he doesn't like somebody just floating around, you know, under a 9. And I mean, it makes sense if that's not what you don't like. Like if you don't like that, you know, it's really up to you. So Quintero playing on the left wing, and then who are you going to put in your center forward, man? Who do you think would be a center forward? Like,
yeah, I mean, right now, I think the only one for sure that we know of is Ramirez, right? Cristian Ramirez. But I think me personally, I only seen him play like once or twice, but I think Fafa would be a great number 9. Just because of what I saw that one game against us that he killed us. And I think he has the speed. And I think he has like the body and like the he's like smart when it comes to playing like off the ball and with the ball. Like he can give you that, because Tab Ramos was talking about, you know, he wants players that are able to like go one-on-one against the defenders. You know, like if you're gonna be a number 9 that doesn't know how to like go one-on-one against a defender and beat him, like just stay home. You know, like there's and I think, you know, Fafa can probably keep the ball in his feet a little bit longer than Cristian Ramirez can. I mean, maybe I think Cristian Ramirez, like he didn't have a good year, but he seems like more of a box 9 to me, just because he's big, he's tall, like he can go for headers, like he can play with his back against the goal, like touch back, you know, make those runs, But Fafa is he seems more athletic. So like I think he could be
so more like a false 9, right?
Yeah. Like, you know, come get it in the half field and go, you know, go with it, or, you know. But I think, you know, those two guys are going. I mean, with the numbers of wingers, I don't think he's going to be competing for. I mean, he could be. He's fast, but he's also on the older side. I mean, he's not that old, but, you know, for soccer and like for the amount of guys that we have that are young on the sides, there's a lot of competition. But I think if he starts like a 9, like a false 9, I think he might do good there. But, you know.
And you know, it's funny because you're like, you know, a few days ago, I was kind of talking to a buddy and mentioning some, you know, our wingers. And then, you know, we still have like, I don't think we ever mentioned like Lassiter. Like we keep forgetting that the dude is there. I mean, he was solid. I feel like some of those guys can play striker and like wing. And I think it's just going to be one of those like, hey, look, we have 3 guys. Y'all can rotate throughout the game. Like, I don't think it's going to be a fixed position up there for the same reason, because all the guys can kind of move around. I mean, I'm excited to see like Mateo Bahamic kind of play, just because what I've seen, it seems interesting, because it seems like a lot of the players that we've gotten, like you said, are guys that are speedy guys, but they know where the goal is at. So they'll, like, their movement is always going to be forward compared to, like, you know, having Albert Elise or Kyoto. It was just like stay as close to the ends as possible and kind of see if you can dribble in or do a cross. And I mean, it worked for us, right? I mean, Manota had almost 50 goals in his career, and a lot, like a good probably 70% of those goals were assisted by one of the endurance we had. So,
for sure.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, new team. We know that Cabrera was very like, you know, we're going to park the bus, how they say, and then we'll just counter. And I mean, it worked. It worked for us, right? We won a U.S. Cup. We got to a playoff berth and kind of went a little far. So it looked like it was working, but eventually, like, teams kind of catch on that because, you know, if you're giving the ball, you know, you're only keeping it 20% of the time. I mean, team's going to beat you somehow eventually, you know. Yeah. They'll just do like, what is it, like your die of 1,000 paper cuts, basically, you know, like eventually they'll just break you apart, you know. So
over time, like you can't just counter all the, I mean, you're going to get tired eventually, and they're going to move the ball around, and you're going to just die of 1,000 paper cuts. Like, slowly and surely they'll get you.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And so it was great to see that, you know, it wasn't the right players, in my opinion. You know, I mean, I love Elise, you know, I mean, great player, you know, like he did such a great job for us, but you can just see it wasn't going to be his fit. And I feel, in a way too, I feel bad that he left the team for where he went. Cause I mean, you look at the table for Boa Vista, they're doing terrible, you know, and so it's like, man, we could have like sold this guy for more money, or we could have like, you know, moved him to a different team. And then you see like FC Dallas over there, like dealing and willing, you know, I mean, and they just made a couple, like at least 50 million or something in the last couple of years. It was like, we're definitely not there yet. I do, you know, trust the process, trust Ramos. I think is good working with the youth. And I do like players like Ethan Barlow. We didn't even mention him. I mean, the guy looks very solid in the bag, very comfortable. And from what I've seen that he played throughout, he's a right-footed guy that plays on the left side of the center back. So, I mean, he right there, you know, I mean, he can easily be the one that replaces Minor Figueroa if Formayer doesn't, you know, get that spot, basically. But so I think like for, you know, a lot of people are like, Top wants to play the young guys. But from all the things that he's done this offseason, I mean, the guy wants to win now. I mean, you just don't go out and, like you said, old guys, I mean, they're 20, 28, 29-year-olds. I mean, he's there because he thinks that he can win with this guy. It's like, you know, so definitely exciting. I mean, at first it seemed kind of like, but I feel like the more players he kept picking up, the more they make sense to like the way he wants to work. So it's a matter of like, okay, like, you know, on paper it looks great, amazing. Like, we got to see what it looks like once they're playing, you know, and I mean, I don't know what the future entails. Like, I mean, I'm one of those optimistics that like every season the Dynamo can win the cup, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's me too.
And you're not a sports fan, you know. Of course. Let them play like a couple games, and you could say like, maybe they'll make the playoffs. Maybe we won't.
But start lowering your expectations as you go.
But it's like you gotta shoot high, man. Sometimes you'll miss, but you know you get something. But from what we've seen and the way the tab like has shown, he wants his team to play. I mean, we were dead last, right? I believe, yeah, right behind like Cincy in the overall table. So I don't think it can get any worse technically. So no, man, I'm excited, and I think it's gonna be fun to watch them play. Like, hopefully we can be at the stadium. Or I mean, I'm sure that if they give me the chance, I'll be there. But I mean, with this whole COVID thing, hopefully like we can get 50% of the stadium or something just to get some vibe. But yeah, like I don't know. Is there any of these players that you think are kind of or positions that still need to be fixed in your opinion?
Not really. I mean, I think we're stacked. I mean, other than we talked about number 9, you know, how happy are we with like Ramirez being there? I mean, if he works hard, I think he'll be able to make it. I mean, he at one point in time in his career, he was good. He
Well,
made it to the national team.
that's funny that you mentioned him because if we really look back, even with Tab Ramos, I mean, remember Manotas was out, a few times, and this guy came in and scored.
Yeah.
Which gives you the idea he may not be what Tab Ramos is looking for. Because, I mean, as a striker, your thing is to score goals. So if you're scoring goals and they're like, hey, we're still going to throw Manotas in there for whatever reason, He's been playing with us 100 caps or however many caps he has. He's a captain. I get it. But at the same time, it's like maybe that's not exactly what he's looking for, And so I think he's a good player. I think the guy, I mean, has scored some cheeky goals, how they say, Like the dude is very opportunistic. So, I mean, it's tough to see players like that not play, especially like in his case that I know that his wife was expecting a kid and, you're pushing to play and you're not playing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kick, man. That's the kick on the choppers for sure. And you're like, man, I'm out here busting my ass and I can't play. And so it's definitely kind of like interesting to see what happens for sure.
Yeah, this season for sure for Ramirez is going to be like the make it or break it season. Like he's either gonna come out of this year like a superstar, in my opinion, or superstar, or he's just gonna be like in the bench, like riding the bench. Like there's not gonna be any in between, like coming in, getting goals here and there, like up to like 5 goals as a backup or something like that. I think he's either gonna be like he's gonna solidify himself as number like the 9 of the Dynamo, or he's just gonna like ride the bench and eventually get traded, next year to God knows where. And then the other one that I'm not worried about, but it's gonna be interesting how it plays out is the 3 back, I guess I would say, because I think on the left side I think Lundy has that like to him and to himself. But when it comes to like the right back, I don't know if they're gonna move because Tarek Valentin, he has played center back before, so are they gonna like push him, to the middle and have Bisama in there? I think Bisama, we didn't see much of him, but obviously they brought him because he has potential. So are we gonna see the Chilean international guy, that we brought finally once and for all, or we're just gonna keep Tarek Valentin that actually did a really good job. Like he didn't play bad at all, and like at times he was one of the better players in the field, as a right back. But then, obviously Tim Parker is going to be a starting center back, no question. But then it's like, who do you pair him with? Do you pair him with the young kid, Ethan Barlow? Do you pair him with like a I don't know, Figueroa? I think he's still like in limbo when it comes to his contract. Some people say that he already has been signed, but I mean, I don't know. Till I don't see a re-sign thing, I'm not going to put my money on it, Even though Tab Ramos says that, he thinks, Figueroa is the most like the guy that works the hardest in the trainings. So like, he said it like a couple times.
And I mean, you have to remember too that he did a bunch of mistakes too, last season. I mean, last minute PKs,
Yeah.
So I mean, just because you've experienced doesn't mean you still, can get kind of lazy and make fouls that, you shouldn't be doing. So
it's like who's that second, center back? Who are we gonna throw back there? Because I mean, we got the young guys, Well, I mean, I honestly don't think McHugh is gonna play, but you have Formajor and like you have I don't know, I can't think of anybody else, but I mean, you have some guys that they have been waiting their chance. So it's like, so it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen. But here's my question for you, though. having a whole bunch of, names and a whole bunch of midfielders, and a lot of people have been throwing around the idea of for example, sending Palomino or like Nico Lemoyne out on like on a loan. How do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that would work for them? How do you feel about that? Like sending some of the guys that maybe you won't see a lot of playing time, maybe like send them out so they can get some minutes and some experience.
I mean, that is funny they said, because I mean, those are names that we haven't even mentioned, right? Like we feel like we have a good depth, but if from the starters we have, there's not really much of a bench, right? You still need a bench and you need some backup. So where in the depth chart those like Lemoyne or Palomino kind of land, and then you obviously have Sedan, you have what's the other guy, Hoffman out there, who knows, still to play like other young guys. But I feel like and obviously Derek Jones, I mean, there's a bunch of players that are, where are you going to put them on the depth? Yeah. Where are you going to put them on the depth chart? So for me, this whole thing with RGV, I feel like it's slowly trickling like away. I don't think it's, which I never thought it was something that was working for either team. I mean, you see where RGB has been with the Dynamo guys, and then the Dynamo guys that go up there, they may get a little playing time. Like they play 1 or 2 games just because they were injured, and then they don't play much. So I don't think no one's really benefiting from that. So with I think they've recently, if I'm not mistaken, RGV just kind of like is doing their own thing when it comes to the team. So it's not like the Dynamo can be like, hey, well, Bolomino's going to go over there type of thing. So yes, I think they should be loaned out. How all that stuff is going to work, not really sure. But I think it can only benefit. I mean, I guess it's not like other countries that, a guy gets loaned out and usually they get loaned out to like a top tier team. Like you get somebody from, Chivas gets loaned out to America, or, kind of like they're still playing in the top tier. Here, they tend to just get loaned out to like the 2nd or 3rd division or whatever. But I think it's better than nothing. I mean, you'd rather them be playing, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think Palomino, 18, 19 years old, I mean, he probably did get to learn a lot being on the bench for sure, but he didn't play much, and obviously he was hurt as well. So I would just sacrifice. Again, I think COVID was a big we can send them because then they can't come back. But we could have given him that option. It's like, look, you're going to lose a year not playing with us, but you'll go play over there for 6 months to a year or whatever and actually play.
And get better.
And I think it just benefits the guys. I don't think, again, you want to send them to a place that knows them for sure they're going to play, right? You don't want to send them to a second division team, a USL team or something, and then they're on the bench there too. It's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
But no, it'd be good. I mean, I've Palomino's a guy that people seem to be very high on. I can't say much because I don't really keep up with youth or youth soccer as much, but I mean, if this guy's very talented, an 18-year-old anywhere else in the world is already probably on their 3rd year as a pro, right? So it's kind of like you're wasting time, if you're not letting them play. And they should let the guys go, like Nico Lemoyne or all those guys that let them play. Find somewhere that they can play. If you think they're like borderline starters or borderline first team choice, look for a place for them to play.
For sure. Yep. I mean, I agree. Let the kids play, man. Let them play. I mean, that's what the whole deal is going on right now. Let them play, MLS. Jesus Christ. And then, damn, I had a quick. Okay. So here's a funny question that lately has been running in my head just because I've been watching a lot of FA Cup and a lot of the Argentinian leagues and stuff like that. How do you feel about promotion relegation? Would you like to see that in the United States?
I mean, yes, of course, right? But at the same time, we've been doing so terrible, I don't want to be in the 2nd division right now.
We would be probably one of the first ones to be.
Yeah, we'll be down there, and we'll probably be there for a while, kind of like Leeds, But no, I mean, I think all that is good. It's good competition. I think I know for sure, obviously, like MLS, it's relatively the same like NFL or NBA, you know, like 32 teams, like humongous leagues. I mean, I think there's a few other leagues like the championship in EPL. It has like maybe 24 teams, but other than that, every league has 18 to 20 teams. So, I mean, we're at 30 or gonna be at 30 pretty soon. I mean, that's a lot of teams, and they expect a bunch of games as well. So, I think eventually the way it's looking, it would be great to see that, you know. Hopefully a bunch of teams don't die out because of COVID. I mean, people are taking a hit left and right, money wise. But I mean, you know, I think that's what makes the US Cup like pretty fun to watch, because like you said, it kind of reminds you of kind of like FA Cup, and you know, like David against Goliath. You know, kind of like, you know, who takes who. And but yeah, I think that'd be fun to watch. You know, eventually. You know, if you have at least maybe two good leagues, to see, because I mean, the USL has a bunch of teams too, you know, like, and then the USL2, I mean, there's a bunch of teams, and a lot of them have their own little stadiums and, you know, a good fan base. So that would makes it fun for sure. So, but like I said, right now, I'm okay with how it is right now, you know, like, like yeah, you know, what's it called? I don't want to be talking about relegation with the Dynamo instead of like trying to make the playoffs. But no, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's beneficial. I mean, unless you're like in Mexico and you can pay your way into staying in the league somehow, you know, like. Right. You know,
even there we'll be fucked. Nobody's gonna pay nothing.
Yeah, they're like, how much is it? Oh, yeah, let's just go to third division at this rate. You know, like, no, you're right. We would be kind of screwed. But no, it would be fun. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. But I mean, which it tells you too, like you know, I don't know how many teams we're gonna end up having. You know, will we have N at 30? Will we have 32? Will it keep going? I mean, I hope it doesn't keep going, because it is kind of fun to be able to like play everybody, you know, because I know like last season we weren't going to hit a few, I think we weren't going to play like 3 or 4 teams, which makes it kind of like, you know, those like the supporter chills. Like, I mean, that whole point is like you beat everybody, or you know, you got more points than everybody. So kind of like puts like a little asterisk on it per se when you don't play everybody. But I think that's what makes it fun too. So, I mean, from just, you know, the little time that the MLS has been around, I mean, when the Dynamo won the championships, I think there was like 12 teams, man. So just imagine there's 24 now. So yeah, exactly. So it's fun, kind of funny, because, you know, like it just keeps growing and it just keeps getting better in my perspective, right? Yeah. Like it just keeps picking up, you know, they're not getting like the guys about to retire, even though, you know, they may have a good name like David Beckham or this or that, which obviously paints the league for us. But you know, they're picking up so many young Argentinians, Paraguayans, like Colombians, Uruguay. Like, I mean, kids are seeing it as like, hey, I'll come here, play a season or two, and then get out of here type of thing. And which is good. I feel like as a Mexican, it's funny that like we can't, like the US can't beat Mexico when it comes to like the Champions League, you know. It bothers me because, like, granted, Chivas won it a couple of years ago against Toronto, and that was great. But other than that, like, it's like, man, you guys are so close. Just beat some dude, please, like, you know, because I'm tired of like, you know, this Tigres fans and all this Monterrey fans. So, which, I mean, no disrespect to them. I mean, their teams, you know, have, you know, picked up. You know, they were, you know, not the best teams for a while, but I mean, right now they're kings. They're kings of like Mexico, and clearly of the CONCACAF too. So, I mean, they did their, you know, work. They put in their work. You know, they put in the money. But it's kind of like frustrating when you have like LAFC and you're like, dude, just go. You know, like just go. Like
do something.
Yeah. But you won't hit them. You know, it gets to that point. Like, So it's definitely fun to see that, and that they're like, I feel like it's getting closer, but I feel like there's definitely more talent like coming into the MLS for sure. And I think that's why it brings fans like you or me to like be more active in watching, because it's like, yeah, you get a Rooney or you get someone that, you know, you've seen in TV for a long time, but all the younger kids that are coming in, they're pretty impressive to watch too, you know.
Stars, yeah. Yeah. Like you see him, you're like, man, like I remember when Davies played, and now he's like in Bayern Munich or whatever.
Yeah, dude, that guy I always had him pick up on FIFA, you know, like I was like, man, this guy, I saw him play I think it was like the Gold Cup, because we would go to that stuff too, and we got to see Canada play somebody, maybe Mexico or somebody, and you see this kid, and I'm like, man, this kid is pretty solid, and he was like 17 years old. So, you know, FIFA time comes, you know, like career mode, you pick up those guys, you know.
Yeah, he's going somewhere. He's going places. Let me get him now. Yeah, let me invest in the stock over here, GameStop and stuff. But anything else, man? You wanna talk about any topics lingering in your world?
I was gonna ask you something, but no, nothing else, I guess. But I want to say thank you for setting up this meeting. Kind of like, try to like I told you, like maybe we click, maybe we do more of them, whatever it comes type of thing. But I think I saw a picture, and I guess you're a Boca fan. How does that still kind of go with you and your family, or is your family here, or they're still in Argentina, or how do you?
So most of my family is still in Argentina. Like here, I have like my immediate family, my parents, and like a few uncles. Actually, one uncle and one aunt, so it's actually not that much. But and it's funny because like my grandpa he's visiting from Argentina, and he's a River fan. Like my dad's family is like divided, so like half of them are River fans and half of them are Boca fans. And yeah, like since a child, always Boca fan. My room was painted blue and yellow, like I've been hardcore since like a book I would lose and I would be mad like all day and stuff like that. But yeah, man, like we still watch Libertadores. Like I still go to my parents' house. Like every time Boca plays, my dad's like, "Hey, you coming?" I live really close, so I just kind of go, watch the games. Even when he's out of town, like he'll be like, "Hey, I'm not home, but you can still go to my house," and because he has like the channel to like watch. I recently got Fanatics or whatever, so you can like watch the Argentine league. But when I didn't have it, he'll be like, "Hey, like there's a key under whatever. Go in the house and watch the games." And I would just go and sit there by myself and watch them. Like Libertadores games, like that's a must. We go to my parents' house. Like my brothers come over too. When we were younger, like that was like or like game night type
Yeah.
thing. Like my mom would like make dinner for like she would make empanadas, so like we didn't have to sit on the table and like eat dinner like regular people. So we could like sit on the couch and like hold our food.
Stuff your face as you're watching a game.
Exactly, yeah. So you don't have to like you watch like that. But yeah, man, it was like a whole experience, and now like kind of like kind of transforming. And now I see myself more. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like I kind of see myself more of a Dynamo fan than a Boca fan, which is almost like
it is definitely a little weird, man. But like I said, I see it the same way.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like that kind of felt weird saying it too.
And it's true. It's like such a painful relationship too, right?
Yeah, because it's like they hurt me, but and then Boca does like pretty good. But that's the thing. Look, I never got to go to a stadium. I never got to like. I was able to celebrate other championships and stuff like that. Some here, some there, but I was never like connected because I was a kid. I came to the U.S. when I was 8, so you're a fan, but you're not like really a fan. And like you grow up and you're still a fan and like nostalgia and all that or whatever. But now is like more as a grown up, you kind of understand the sport. I wanted to be a soccer player all my life and stuff like that. So like I always wanted to like go back and play and all this. But now, like, this is home and this is my team because it's from home, So like that's like one of the cool things that the MLS has, that like teams are like in different cities.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not like in Argentina, like in Buenos Aires. Like I'm watching some YouTube videos now of this like show that the guy, like, he goes to like all these random clubs around Buenos Aires mainly, and he like tells their story, because most of these clubs like are 100 years old, because from the 1902 or whatever. And where I lived, like this is my house, and I had like four different teams,
Mm-hmm.
like from like third division to like fourth to fifth division, like, but they still get like 12,000 people in their stadium. Their stadiums are small, they're not VVVA or whatever, but in whatever stadium they have, they pack it every weekend.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because I was watching it, and like I had four like around me, and it's kind of like a sin to be a fan of two, because you can only be a fan of one, because they're all play against each other, and like they hate each other, and it's just like my hood against your hood type of thing.
Especially when you're a kid and you don't know any better, right?
Yeah,
like I would tell my dad, like, okay, Dad, so you were born in Mexico City, but you go for a team that is like way over there, And then I'm like, why did you pick that one when I like the rival team that has cooler colors? It's just kind of like you don't think about it. You're just like, but you're right.
It's weird, and it's weird too because like I have cousins like for example, there's this team called La Ferrere, right, which is like literally like 20 blocks away from my house, like walking distance almost. And I have some cousins from my mom's side, and they're like hardcore La Ferrere fans. Like they're hardcore Boca fans too. But in Argentina, you can be a hardcore Boca fan that they go to the stadium and like they literally like hang out with, like, not hang out, but they're like La Doce, and like they're there. They're always
rocking the bombonera.
Yeah, and like they're always there, and they're like, hey, primo, whenever you come back, we'll take you. And I'm like, ah. And then at the same time, like on Saturdays, because those games are Sundays, on Saturdays they go to La Ferrere, like the club team in the area, and it's like a fourth division team, but like they pack it out, they have flags, and like they hold, like the whole day is like they start from.
Hey, we know that Argentinians are just completely different,
Yeah, it's like passion to the max.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just.
And then
like the craziest ones for sure.
Yeah, and then I have other family members from like my dad's side, and they're fans of Nueva Chicago, which is like on the other. It's like 20 blocks, but the other way, like. And then 20 blocks to the other side, there's another one, Almirante Brown, and they like hate each other, and like. But I have family members that are fans of those too, and then they're like, hey, when you come back, we got a jersey for you. We'll take it to a stadium. You come sing with us. And I'm like, man, I don't know where to go. Like, I'm conflicted.
The funny is that because, like I said, my brother, like, obviously, like, loves soccer. He's definitely more loyal. He's a big Liverpool fan. Like, I mean, big. Like, he follows this, like, and he recently was able to go to England, and he was going to London as kind of like an anniversary trip. And I'm like, dude, when are you going to go to England again? So I convinced him to go to Liverpool, and, like, he was like, went to the stadium, like this dude, kind of went crazy. And but he's very like huge supporter, and like I said, I've been trying to kind of get him to watch more MLS, and he's become, but he moved about a year and a half ago, he moved to Dallas. Hey. But, what I mean? Like, dude, you're going to Dallas, you should be a FC Dallas fan, like in the sense of like you don't really follow any team. I don't know how long you're going to be there. So what if we make it like I go visit you and we'll watch a game there, and then when they play over here, kind of like that. And I remember I gave him a scarf for Christmas, and he just looked at it and was like, didn't say nothing. And later on, he's like, dude, why the fuck you give me this? Like, I hate Dallas. Like, but he didn't tell me right in the beginning. And then in a way, I felt kind of proud. Like, my little brother actually was like, good job, less man, but man, screw those guys up there. It's just kind of like, it's good to have that rivalry, and it's slowly picking up. And that's why I'm excited about Austin as well.
Yeah, that's gonna be good too. I'm so excited. Like I already told my brothers, like I was like, hey, like we're gonna have to get a flag. Like we're gonna have to do a flag. Like we're painting something. Because I've like, unfortunately, like when I go to the Dynamo games, I've been only going to like the media section or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been trying to like, because I only been to like when actually to Robertson Stadium. I went one time, but it was to watch some shitty ass game, and it was like Las Leyendas de Argentina versus Las Leyendas de Mexico. So it was like a bunch of 50-year-old dudes that once played in like for their national teams, and we knew them like, but they're 50, so like the game tied, and like they went to penalties, and the penalties tied, like they didn't even have a winner. And like, but I just remember like, I was like 13, 14, maybe younger. But I remember like, there was a bunch of Argentinians with like bombos and like flags, and I love that. Like I love that. And I just never, I don't know why. Well, this year I had the chance maybe to be like, with the El Batallón or whatever. The Surge now and the Texan Army and all those guys. But this year, like I told my brothers, I was like, hey, like if we go, we're gonna like be in the mix, because like, yeah, I'm a fan, but like, and I like to watch the game, like, but enjoying the game as a like a crazy fan, like in the stands, it's like a whole different feeling. And I want to enjoy at least some of those games, and then some of those games are like where you sit down and you like analyze the game, and you're like, okay, that's a good pass, or like look at this run, or like look at this player doing this. But I'm trying to be more of a like a complete like fan, like not just a podcast or whatever. But it's gonna be. I mean, this year, hopefully, like you said, hopefully they let people in, like more people, and we'll go crazy. But yeah, I told my brothers, I was like, we're gonna put a flag together. We're gonna go to Austin. We're gonna go to Dallas. Hopefully, I'm trying to convince my wife to fly with me to like Portland or Seattle or somewhere, just to like.
Yeah, dude, definitely do it. To like, I convinced my wife. We went to Dallas. We started out well. We were supposed to, I told her, I'm like, hey, you like traveling. I mean, come on, like I'll pick a destination. But I mean, she don't know that it was really like with the Dynamo in mind, in my head. But we went to that. We went 20. I think it was. We went to Dallas for sure one game for the Derby, and I think it was when we got killed like 4-0 or something like that. It was like awful, like and then we went to Philadelphia for a game that we also lost, I think 2-1. But man, it was such a cool experience, being able to kind of see other cities and see like their stadiums and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. So I was trying to go in 2020. They were playing Seattle. They were supposed to play like in Seattle and Portland within like the same week. Yeah. So my plan was to go there for that. So we go to Seattle, go to the game, stay there a few days, and go to Portland for a few days, watch the game, and come home. I mean, obviously that didn't happen, but I still kind of plan to do a little bit of that if possible, at least one or two. And I'm very blessed to have like my own office at work, and how you have the back of your like that. I'll show you a picture, man. I mean, is that nobody visits me? Is like me and like a cubby hole type of thing, and like it's all decked out with like all kinds of Dynamo and sports stuff in there. So, like I have this. Somebody gave me like a US map. So like the ones that I'm like Dallas and Philly, I've got pins for it, and I put it like where the city's at, and just like keep like it's like one of those. It was like I used to be like, again, I play soccer pretty much my whole life, and I was like dedicating a lot of time of physically like playing the game, and it's like been fishing or this or that, and it's like I only have time for a little stuff nowadays, having kids and everything, so kind of dedicated to exactly what you want and just kind of make it a thing. But yeah, I would definitely say I would recommend it, man. If you're able to, go check it out for sure.
Yeah, hopefully.
We can always go together, man. If you ever want to do that.
What's up, dude? Yeah, You'll be my trip mate if my wife doesn't want to come.
Yeah, that's what I told. I have a little boy. He's about to be 2, and I'm like, that's my buddy right there. Like once he's able to, I'm just gonna take him with me. And
Yeah,
like,
I have a 3-year-old, and I told my wife, I was like, hey, like, and I have a 4-year-old daughter, and I was like, when they're like 9, 10, like I'm gonna take them, like I'm gonna like flip them around, like take this guy once, and then take her,
yeah.
and then so because also like you build the next generation of like fans. So
And that's funny. That's one thing that right before, just a little segue. That exact point that you just said. I mean, the Dynamo's so young that it's like, somebody like us that wanted to be kind of like a pro or whatever, is one of those that like now our kids actually kind of have that. Hey, you want to be in, play for their youth academy or try out. I mean, there's more of an option for them.
yeah.
It's cool to see that because obviously that was never a thing.
Yeah, like, and even that, like, even with the women's team, because having a daughter, I have 2 daughters and a boy, so it's like shoot, the women's team is like it's better than the men's, so it's like, hey, like hey, Sophia, how about let's go to the park, let's go kick the ball around, let's get you familiar with this black and white ball real quick, and hopefully one day we'll have a poster of you in the house or something like that. But yeah, it's cool, man. I think that's like the beautiful thing about this sport. Like you can get involved with like not only like family but friends, and like there's so much passion. Like, and it's crazy because it's only a game and it's only like 100 years old. Like, and it's just like mind blowing. And I don't know. And I'm like, I like history, so like it blows my mind. Like when I look at back into like history and stuff like that. I did an interview with the guy that runs the Wolves supporters group here in Houston, and the Wolves, it was literally one of the 12 original teams in the FA league, and like that's the original like invention of soccer. Like literally, his team was like one of the first teams to like play soccer ever. So it's just kind of like those things kind of blow my mind, and like seeing it where it comes now, and like all the things that we're able to do. Like I have a podcast, you're going to be writing about it. And like, we're going to be chatting more about, the team and talking shit and talking good and, and like traveling to go see a bunch of dudes play, play with a ball. But, it brings us so much like happiness and, I don't know, it just brings fun to life.
And, to kind of go full circle, I guess, before we're done, like you said, I mean, I started talking in the sense of like what like our president, John Walker, mentioned or whatever, how it's difficult, but hey, a boy from Argentina, a dude from Mexico, that soccer boy just did, like you said, is like everybody knows that language, so it's like, I mean, that's how I made friends, right? Like you just show up to the park, there's like out with a ball, it's like, hey, you want to do a pickup game? And that's how you just kind of develop those relationships. And I mean, that's how you become a fan of whatever's around you.
So, John Walker, listen, bro. I'm not gonna. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, there's a way. There's a way to I think to make the Dynamo be what I mean, dude. We're like one of the biggest cities in the United States. We deserve to have one of the best teams, one of the best clubs, one of the best fan bases. Like I think we can get to like the Portland level or to like the Seattle level or like the LA, whatever this LA team is with the black and gold, whatever. They have a bunch of people there. I think we can get to that level, and starts with like people like us, and like I think we'll get there. But John Walker, come on, believe in the people, man, believe in the people. But wrapping up, man, I want to thank you for jumping on, taking the time to chat. We'll do this again for sure. The season about to start, hopefully. Some people don't want to, open up their checkbooks. But hopefully, train. They're about to start training. Hopefully, here in a couple of weeks, they're probably going to be, if you guys are listening or watching, go check out Dynamo Theory. There's going to be a bunch of articles coming out soon, I imagine, from good writers and not some so good writers, maybe. But we're building a good team over there at dynamotheory.com. There's like a few guys already ready to go. There's people covering the Dynamo, people covering the Dash. But yeah, man, thank you, Rudy, for jumping on, and hopefully let's do this again sometime soon, and let's go Dynamo.
Sure, man. Thanks for the invite, and we'll do it again.
All right, brother. So everybody, go follow Rudy, and yeah, go follow QuattroQuattroDos, and we'll see you guys next time. Deuces.